Hi, if you're watching this video, you're a part of what we are calling the Grace Connect team. This is a new term for an old ministry, but it is now encompassing not just greeters and cafe team and ushers and safety and ministry. We're bringing them all under one umbrella because we're all a part of Grace Community Church, connecting new guests to this body. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Scott Green, and I am the pastor of discipleship here at Grace. Many of you might be wondering why you keep getting emails from me and communication from me, but back in March when I was hired on full-time as a discipleship pastor, I was given the responsibility of thinking through the assimilation process for guests. So that includes greeters, ushers, hospitality in general. And so I've become very passionate about this and helping new guests come through our doors and feel welcome here at Grace. So thank you so much for being a part of that ministry. Just a little bit of background about me if you don't know much about me. I actually grew up in Byron Center, Michigan for 13 years of my life before moving out to Iowa for only about 5 or 6 years of my life. And so a lot of people think I'm from Iowa, but I dislike saying that. I always love to say, no, I'm from Michigan. I spent more of my life here than I did anywhere else. So I claim that, and that's what I will tell you. I've been married to Grace Green, for the last 2 years of my life, and she's just a huge blessing. God continues to give me lots of grace, very literally as well as spiritually. I love basketball. I will play basketball all day, every day. I don't care if everyone is super tired. If there's another game of pickup to be played, I'll continue playing. I love hiking mountains. I love doing anything with friends. And lastly, I'm just an avid reader. I feel like if I don't know it and I'm supposed to talk about it, I need to know about it. And so I just listen to podcasts, read articles, read books. I just love to learn and grow. So that's a little bit about me. And I just want to talk through a little bit about some of the changes that are happening, some of the vision that's being going forward for our hospitality ministry and what we are calling Grace Connect moving forward. First, I want to give you a few numbers. The first number is 208. 208. That number is how many visitors we are likely to see come through our doors in a year if only one family comes each week. One family is about 4 people. 208 guests who are walking through our doors and are going to have the opportunity to hear the gospel proclaimed. That is why hospitality ministry at Grace is so important. That's 208 lives, which I believe is actually a very conservative number of how many guests are walking through our doors. The next number I want to bring to your attention is 11. 11 minutes. Every specialist on this area of ministry has said between 7 and 11 minutes, a new guest has determined whether they will come back to Grace Community Church or not. So that is somewhere between the parking lot and handing their kids off at the kids' table. They have already decided whether they're coming back. They haven't heard any music. They haven't heard the sermon. They've already determined that. So you guys are so important to bringing guests back to Grace Community Church to hear the gospel again and again and again. I want to read this quote by Rebecca Carlisle. She says, "Church hospitality or guest services should always aim to remove the guesswork for a guest visiting your church." If you're a new guest to a church and perhaps you haven't been to a new church in a while, it can be very intimidating. Where do I go? Where do I drop off my kids? Where do I sit so I'm not in someone else's seat? It's very intimidating. And so we want to remove all the guesswork so we can make them feel welcome at home, that they know where to go, where to be seated, and what's going to happen on a Sunday morning. Tony Merida is a pastor who said this about hospitality. He says, "Good hospitality is an outworking of the gospel." And so as we think about what is our process for bringing new guests in, here's some other numbers that I think are very telling about what we are doing as a ministry. 16% is the percentage of people who will return after their first visit. That's not a great number. So 16% of the people who walk through our doors will come back. Now, 85% of those who do come back continue to come back. And so really our goal, if you're a first-time guest coming in, is to come back the next week. And if you're coming back the next week, we know that you're likely to stick around and become part of our faith family. And so as part of the assimilation process moving forward at Grace, we are thinking first-time guest to a second-time guest, a second-time guest to a regular attender, and a regular attender to a member. That is the flow we want to see. And so as you're considering new guests coming through the doors, ask them, is this your first time? And if so, make sure you're inviting them back again next week. If they're a second-time guest, make sure you're inviting them again to continue coming and perhaps even attend a Next Steps class. If they're a regular attender who's been coming for a while, consider asking them what is holding them back from becoming a member at Grace. That is our process moving forward. We want to see guests stay, stick, and then serve. Begin using their gifts as they become members in the body of Christ. So Grace Connect, I just want to talk through just a little bit and the changes as far as what is our purpose. Grace Connect, I've written this purpose statement: to pave the way for guests to have repeated encounters with God. Sunday morning is about ushering people before the throne room of God, that they might encounter God physically and real through the preaching of the word. And so we want to pave the way. In Michigan, we know the difference between a good, freshly paved road and an old, pothole-ridden road. There's a very bumpy ride to get to your destination versus a very smooth and clean and clear direction. And so that is our goal, is to pave the way, to flatten, to smooth, to remove any potholes that might hinder someone from hearing the gospel of Jesus Christ. We want them to have not only an encounter with God, but again, to have repeated encounters with God. They might come and say, man, I was offended by that gospel message, but the way those people treated me, I have to come back and hear more. And so that is truly our goal, is to pave the way, smooth out the road, make sure people feel so welcome that they have to come and check us out a second time. What are our values as Grace Connect team? First value I want to talk about is that the sermon starts in the parking lot. The sermon starts in the parking lot. Before they ever hear Pastor Keone's sermon, they're going to be hearing a sermon. What we preach to them by the time they come on to our parking lot is going to be very telling of whether they come back. We might say from the pulpit that we are a hospitable church, but if they don't feel welcome and home here, they won't return. And so we believe that the sermon starts in the parking lot. It starts with you and me on the front lines of greeting and ushering and welcoming people in. Second, everything speaks. Everything speaks. Now, I just bought a house recently, and I have a lot of blue tape everywhere on all the trim, and I am going to do some touch-up painting. But because I've put it off for so long and haven't touched that project in a while, I've forgotten that there's blue tape everywhere in my house. But every time a guest comes over, they see it and they go, oh, are you painting? And I go, I guess I am. But I haven't done it in so long that I don't see the blue tape anymore. Everything speaks. It's the small details that we no longer notice because we're the insiders and we're here every week that we miss that there's blue tape perhaps on the floor or in the building. And so we want to be aware of that. As an outsider comes in, they are going to notice those things. So pay attention when you're coming to serve, to see, is there trash on the floor? Is there something that you can do to help clean up or just make look nice, because everything speaks. The next value I want to talk about is that the first visit leads to the second. Again, just thinking about those statistics, 16% of a first-time visitor will return for a second visit. It just shows us just how important it is for us to get the first visit right. And so everything about our first visit is to set up the second. We want to pave the way so that visitors will return another time. Another value we want to make is make it personal. Make it personal. Help outsiders feel like family. We want to make it so welcoming here that people just feel at home the second they step foot in our doors. 3 more values that really speak to leadership. First one is show up and put up. Show up on time, and when you're here, come ready to serve. Show up and put up. God has gifted you with the unique ability to be welcoming and hospitable. Please show up on time and be ready to serve in that way to the maximum of your ability, to the glory of God. The next one is oneness-born mission. Again, I believe we've worked as separate ministries for so long that we haven't even considered how greeters pass off to ushers and how we all work together as a team. We're all part of the same mission, and so we need to be one, united together. Let's have a oneness-born mission. Lastly, replace yourself. Replace yourself. This is, at the very bare minimum, the value of, if you're going to be gone in a week, find your own replacement. But at the maximum, it is the idea that you are a leader no matter what level you are serving, and we would love to see you replace yourself as a leader and say, hey, so-and-so, I see that gift in you, and I want to recruit you and say, hey, you should be a part of the greeting team. Come follow me, and replace yourself as a leader. These are the values moving forward. This is the mission of Grace Connect. Pave the way so that guests have repeated encounters with God. Thank you for watching this video. If you have more questions, feel free to call me or email me, and I'd love to talk to you. I'm so excited about what God is going to do in our Grace Connect ministry moving forward as we work together as many teams on one mission.